first book. It's one of my favorite pieces to perform. As I was saying it out loud, I think I decided. So in the mindset of having a round two, I guess I have options, right? So a little bit of context on this is to hear some things throughout this poem. Is I wrote this, 3 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long ago. And it's titled Gifts from My Father. This is one of the first pieces that I ever performed at the Peoria Open Mic Whisper and Shout on the first and third Thursdays. If you have yet to check that out, I encourage you to do so. Since this has been written, my father has passed. So there is a certain excerpt in here that mentions that sort of thing. And oddly enough, I was the only one to speak at his funeral. So when you hear that part in there, that was a weird testament to the future. Right, so here we go. Oh yeah, I should probably mention the name of my first book. Dear Desperation, sometimes also misnamed as Dear Depression, but same difference, right? So melancholic in nature, but nonetheless insightful. Gifts from my father. And I will knock on the mic. The striped Baja was a hand-me-down from his adolescent era. A drug rug, he called it, and we laughed as the messages rang clearer. And see, he started on his downward spiral at an age as ripe as mine, losing bits of himself as he slipped and aged through time. And sometimes I'd see him in the mirror amidst my own shell-shocking life, resenting him for guidance he couldn't offer if he tried. And see, the thickness of the fabric felt odd in my saffron hand, the moment that I realized he was a boy before a man. And it felt itchy on my skin when I tried it on to lend olive branches of acceptance to these extensions of him. And does he know yet that I needed one thing man cannot buy, to take up some of his space, to preoccupy his time? And see, my longing for it left me grasping for a line. Salvation, no. Stability, I shake that tree of mine. Clinging to its vines, knock down low-hanging fruit. The first time I was presented with, it's not me, it's you. When he left me, my apologies. The first time I was presented with, it's not you, it's me. When he left me sitting on the porch at the time he said he'd be. There to pick me up, to spend some time with me. To take a segment from his day to listen to me speak. But there I sat. My face grew flat and I let expectations flee. And see, my desperation rooted in times his absence left me weak. And now my feelings towards him are merely black and bleak. And see, I'm not sure just what I'd say at his funeral, you'd see. Not even sure if as his daughter I'd be asked to speak. And I suppose I'd say things like, he was kind in his old age. Or it was nice to hear him tell a tale, even if you heard him tell it a different way. Or how it was very much like my father giving bits of himself, so to say. And that I suspect why he turned out like this and chose to lead his life this way. And I think it boils down to his own life-giver's force. That his dad left him abandoned, it was the calm before the storm. And I'd recount all his ideas, I'm sure one would have stuck. A big payout, his claim to fame, another way to make a buck. And I'd explain how he'd hustled his whole life, but I'm unsure of his objective. His rationales and explanations of both, he was protective. And he refused to let those people in who just may give a fuck. The potential of our relationship positioned in that right. And see, looking back, the real gift was his storytelling tales, the plot relaying, his hands swaying a slightly different rhythm from the same old beating drum. Long-winded, he'd go on and on with ease one would become, lost in the sizzling hum, lost in the words of the sizzling humming of his halfway heart spewing from his air-filled lungs. See his body there in front of me, but his mind had long been gone, stuck in that place where half of him has existed all along. And see, you can hear the passion in his voice and wonder what it would become. You can hear regret deep in the tones of the songs he's never sung, resentment for a life not led and indifferent to the ones the only tether to his existence as aging overcomes. And would he have approached fatherhood differently if given a single son? And perhaps I should not wonder as the damage has been done. And see, I've worn that Baja jacket a few times, of course. Amidst my milestone blues or when I felt I needed it most. Hoping to feel connection to him, yeah, somehow. Something more in tune, grasping to know how. Hoping it would give me a different hue than green. Envy for all those girls who had a dad but me. A different hue, a higher view, the looking glass of his life from you. His perspective stained a sullen blue. See, it's that insight that I've longed for. to see what makes him tick. To understand the reasons he feels scorned and why his guard's impermeably thick. See, it's that desire to uncover, to rip up his floorboards. Who was this man, my father, before I was born? And to understanding why my presence wasn't his sole force, a reason to live up to expectations of things a father has in store. You know, like showing his daughter loving kindness and that the world has so much more. To offer well-loved little girls before they enter dating wars. But now I realize it's something deeper, and he hides inside himself. And he knows and stares into the fires of his internal hell. And knowing now that my role is more than helping him, learn to deal with his father's absence as I reconcile with his. Peace. All right, and then this next one I'm going to share is called Small Town Shit. So, small town shit. Yeah, small town shit. One time for the one time. We all drive through these, small towns, middle-sized towns. So I feel like this will resonate a lot with the Midwestern energy. So, who holler and snap, clap, and stomp your feet when you see so fitting. Small town shit. Slender man, familiar with time. Alabaster skin, not yet plaster. He rides rusty bones in a face of gray wires cross road. Cross town to the liquor locker, small joint, yellow brick and boobs. Pillars of a community pickpocketed of its potential. Ride to capture the taste of temptation, to reinvent himself, maybe. To escape himself, that too. Town with Dollar General produce, too many miles to other sustenance. Make it work. Shake it up right and call it clean eating. Large chunk of time spent humming down highways, hiccups of hymnal on hilltop worship here. Squish cockroach on faded gas station linoleum floors, dirty yellow. Quick yellow to the teller, and I need relief, but don't dare let my bare ass touch your bathroom toilet seat. Drive-through cafe in Albion, fresh Frisco melt, hot and ready. And it makes me salivate for a moment, thought of cheap pizza back home. Whole beans and iced coffee, haven't seen that before. Maybe chew the beans, jazz me up a bit inside, jazz me up to finish the ride, 4 hours 42 to go. And these back roads lead everywhere and nowhere. And there's an odd sort of fluidity between goldenrod, tall corn stalks, and remnants of litter thrown sideways out of the wide mouth of a car window moving wild down the pavement. Scenery is something like you'd see in a movie describing how it looks to leave deeply rooted in Midwestern values. Jesus signs plotted every few miles shout at me with sentiments and symbols that seem more like code. And I keep driving and think about the color palette of my own internal God as my tires grind over the gravel road. Mulling over loose thoughts is about as good as a pastime as any, and I can only consume so much. Perhaps hell is simply separation from God. Hard stop. And it makes more sense to me that way. Recovering Catholic. And the long and short of life has been made more evident this year than in years prior. The acceptance that this too shall pass, and self-suggestion that I should lean into being more myself in ways those I loved felt too burdened by life's formalities to carry out with any consistency. Tread the water of self-discovery. Don't gulp too much water waiting waves of uncovering, and don't be too problematic sorting life, dear. Loving seasons come and go. Joy, Illinois. Sleepy town. Small segment of highway, really. Blink and you miss it sort of place. No marketing campaign on the account of the name, and it'd be a tourist hunt, I tell you, if I did it the right way. Dresser on front porch. American flag, faded yard signs, American fallen on hard times. Whole town just getting by. Whole town is biding time till it's no longer as sustainable. And I pass through, leave tip on table, no reporting to the tax man. Sweet girl, the brunette waitress. Gait soft and somewhat weightless. Full belly. Charge selling, I like to romanticize the roadway. Like to romanticize the drive because I committed to the commute regardless. And the day is mine to harness if I look at things the right way. Left swerve to miss a pothole, right swerve to reach a new goal, and I'm sure I can beat the time. I'm sure this gas station coffee is fine, and I'm likely overthinking it. Big goal. Small stoke at the fire of getting on with the day. Big toe to gas pedal. Something bikini bottom. Something Miss Puff taught him, and I chuckle a bit too. I see an exchange of oddities damn near everywhere I go. New man, new bike, but I've seen him back home too. Worn woman at his side meet to exchange black bag for thin cash and carry on in their days in opposite directions. Routine, fast favor, life companions, complete strangers. 50 questions in 5 seconds, and I have no right nor time to inquire despite my brain's desire. And how is it possible for so many humans to live seemingly similar lives spent outside of smoke shops? mid-November worn flip-flops and getting by just to get by. Bare bones of an existence, drenched in avoidance, dressed in reaching for tomorrow's offerings, and that is just enough, right? Stench come up scarcity mindset, come up unloved child, and awareness the burn of booze on back of throat is mild compared to how it feels to feel alone deep into December. And someone has to feel the shoes of deep hurting. Yeah, I think it's so. Someone has to feel the shoes of societal concerning, let us all think and feel flashy in our successes otherwise. Small town shit, so I observe. What else is there really to do? Peace. Feel the tension fall, feel yourself relax. And then that nice relaxed feeling that you're feeling here, soften your gaze. I invite you to do so. I was gonna walk around, but I feel like it's a nice audible moment here, so I'm gonna stand at the mic here, which is new for me when I do this piece, so bear with me. But I bring it up to say that every time you feel that you want your attention to go, oh my God, come on, get it moving, girl. Settle down, breathe. Enjoy the moment, we're almost done, right? Life considerations. What does it mean to live a joyous and fulfilling life? How does a person decide? Maybe they feel it in their gut, like butterflies, but more bubbly. And see, I become easily overwhelmed by the unavoidable thought that we all will surely perish. Fading away slowly with each passing day, and of all the things I've evaded, avoided, and downright fled from, this is one thing I undoubtedly cannot. And see, facing the reality that an end is nearly in sight at any moment makes the chase for life's successes all the more desirable, and it scares me half to death. And see, the irony of that phrase is the subtle reality of the societal acceptance of the topic. We joke about it until our turn comes, until our loved ones surrender to their sorrows. And see, like so many others, I exist under the cover of everyday living, concealing a sense of self-denial that stores itself in the basements of my soul. Buried deep beneath my frenzied fears, sharing a sheet with my insecurities, and spoon-fooding my deep-rooted anxieties. And see, deep thought on the topic sends my mind swirling, like knotted up scribbles in the middle of my brain, tucked away and hidden from casual consciousness. Only remembering their poignant pressures as I go down to address my dirty laundry. And as my consciousness slips into their chamber, a sliver of light breaks through the darkness dim lit, and I dwell on their determination to fixate themselves on my forethought. And see, I feel naive, ignorant, and green. My life, it leaps before me, and I am merely a passenger. And see, my vessel, it weeps and wallows as I will it forward toward existence, toward survival. And my thoughts wander to tomorrow, always expecting it will arrive, greeting me with open arms, but it never does and never will. And see, it's a lesson I learned at a young age from a sarcastic uncle as he sat and chuckled amongst his fellow schoolmates in the emptying cafeteria of the Catholic academy he attended. See, my grandma was a lunch lady and also our sometimes sitter. And see, I consider infinite endings and final beginnings, and I think of boundaries and who sets them, and have they done a good enough job? And I think of autonomy and permanence, then of seasons, phases, old and new chapters and life patterns and coincidences. And see, I think of Father Time and Mother Nature and how they approach co-parenting our universe caught in the middle. And see, what does it mean? I ain't done yet. Told you. So that. And what does it mean to be right or just in a society that has rooted itself in taking and destroying far more than it prioritizes giving and restoring? And how can we truly feel valued for no other reason than being alive when we live amongst humans who slay, slander, and succumb to greed and earthly gain without regard for consequences now and hereafter? And can a person feel worthy when no one will remember us at the end of it all? See, close your eyes and think about the fact that we will all be a footnote in our familial lineage at some point sooner or later. And see, me personally, I hate the thought of my bodily presence being ice cold, stodgy, and rudely rigid. See, I like to think of myself as full of life, with movement in my mind, words and actions flowing through me, and what a horrid final depiction the open casket leaves for our fellow friends and family. Country there. A false representation. I work each day desperately to escape the sound of silence. See, I fear the stillness, dwelling on the moment I'll cease to hear a thing. When the lights go out and the vibrato of my beating heart flattens. Blood no longer freely flows, my form forever past tense. And see, I think of Norma and her pale pinky skin speckled with silver dollar spots, brown and beige all over. And she had an impatience in her voice and stood at 4 foot 5 inches tall. Stay with me now. See, we shared a hospital room for a few days when my appendix needed removed unexpectedly, and she was 93 years old and a retired journalist for a newspaper about an hour away from my hometown. And she leaned into herself as she walked her brittle bones from her bed to the bathroom. And see, her existence was an oxymoron. Her presence was merely a deceptive cloak for her frank and self-assured nature. She was audacious and didn't seem to care much about saying the right or outwardly nice thing, yet she was always polite in her approach. And I suppose once you reach 90 years of age, there was only so much you have left to give anyone other than yourself. She stayed up late next to me one night and we watched HGTV, my choice. And the news, her choice, although I cannot remember which network. And I was too anxious as I awaited my surgery, so I busied myself by studying her, asking questions and treading lightly and attempting to avoid placing my foot precisely in my mouth as I had unfortunately done earlier. Stay with me now. And see, somehow or another, she brought up her age, and as it slipped out of her mouth and traveled through my ears and into my mind, it was evident I was a bit shocked. See, I congratulated her time on earth as if death's rewards sweetens the longer it takes the human to ripen. And the look on her face said it all as she confirmed whether that was supposed to be a compliment or not. And for once in my whole life, I was silent. Her time. I wonder how the landscape of her life would shine in the light of the golden hour glow. And see, her husband passed away 9 years before, and I think part of her died and went with him. Oh. She has cancer in a new location, the type she had a few years prior, and I overheard her telling the doctors that if the mass they had just removed for testing was terrible enough for treatment, she simply did not want to consider it. Not again. And I quivered at the thought of wielding that much agency over my existence. And I wish these hospital curtains protected the privacy of each person more. Something thicker for situations so permeable and in need of so much transparency. And see, she was unwavering as she explained this, assuring them that there would be no changing her mind. And they resigned to their clipboards and faded into the background with the beeping machines and the fluorescent lights. And see, her hand shook as she reached for water, quickly exchanging it for a sick bag. And her insides escaped her. And see, I looked away, pretending not to see her in a moment as vulnerable and raw as this. And perhaps she's nervous after all, and I don't ask, but I wanted to. And we talked about her husband and her friends and how it hurt her to see them go, and she looked away when I asked her about her siblings. And see, I'm one of 4. And forgetting then, I sat there, remembering for a moment that although it has always been us 4 sisters, one day it will no longer be so. And I understood briefly why she looked away. Some things are too painful to bring up, too horrible to remember. And see, I can't yet bring myself to consider the loss of the loved ones I had built my life around, another reality I'm not prepared to face. And she pretended not to hear me as I cried myself to sleep that night, returning the courtesy I offered to her earlier. And see, I laid there, realizing, like so many others, I may spend my last moments alive in a bed like the one I curled myself into right then. I decided then that when those final days come toward me, I hope to place myself in nature, to breathe in the sweet smell of wildflowers and wheat grasses. And see, I imagined myself beneath blue skies and cotton clouds amidst the caterpillars, bumblebees, and dragonflies as the tips of my toes touch softened soil. And I think I let go easier then, allowing the wind to sweep over my sagging skin, taking it with me as it passes. And see, at 93, will I still be holding on tightly to the reins of my existence? Or will I be like Norma, ready to wave my white flag proudly as the morning melodies seek me towards eternal slumber? Between us all here, I hope to hear crickets with violins for legs. And the rustling of the tree branches and leaves as they dance to the rhythm of whispering winds and ebb and flow. A reminder that this life will continue until it too reaches finality. And it will. And see, I hope to embrace each inhale deeply with a new appreciation for the damp earth that rests beneath my tired bones, willing and ready to accept and consume me wholly. To turn over and cultivate these brittle bones lay barren once my memory on this earth fades away. And see, my heart sank deeper into my chest. And I consider if I'll be an organ donor after all. Peace.